Tonight's movie focuses on hazardous household product symbols, or HHPS, and you have a variety of hazardous products at home, such as cleaners, batteries, and the like. What I'd like you to copy from this movie is, every so often you're going to see in typically the top right-hand corner a letter C, and it's going to be in a circle, and every time you see that code, that means you're going to copy something, and what I'd like you to copy is just this portion right here, the title of Hazardous Household Product Symbols. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. You don't need to copy anything from this slide, just a little bit of background information. So did you know that, if we borrow from our good friend Bill Nye, 1 liter of motor oil can contaminate up to 2 million liters of drinking water, making it unfit for human consumption. About half the chemicals in our regional wastewater actually comes from our homes. We like to blame business or industry, but half of all the chemicals come out of our homes. Toxic household products damage the environment and ultimately return to us through water and food, so it's best if we don't let these things get into our environment. We see the little C in this slide. I don't expect you to draw the diagrams, but we're going to talk about how the chemicals actually get inside our body, and they get inside by inhalation, absorption, ingestion, or injection. The next 4 slides we're not going to copy. We just need the words from this slide, and the next 4 slides gives us more detail. So moving on in 3, 2, 1. So the 4 routes of entry: inhalation simply means dust, particles, gas, things like that can be inhaled and deposited somewhere in our respiratory tract. The damage is either directly on the inside of the respiratory tract or somehow can get through the respiratory system into our circulatory system, where it moves beyond to some other part of our body. Absorption is where the skin gets direct contact with whatever the material is, and it can either cause surface irritation on our skin, or it can transfer through the skin and get into our bloodstream, where it can then move on to damage internal organs. The eyes are really sensitive because the water layer on top of it allows certain chemicals to dissolve in it better, and it's easier for our body to absorb. Next, we have ingestion, which is a fancy way of saying we eat or drink it. So these are chemicals that get into our gastrointestinal tract or our digestive system. The ones that are not soluble actually are a little bit better for us because we excrete them, and therefore they don't stay in the body very long. The ones which are soluble, however, we can absorb into our body, and those are more likely to damage internal organs. Lastly, we've got injection. Injection is similar to absorption, but because the skin has been cut or punctured or something, now that barrier is not in place, so it's easier for substances to get further inside our body and do more damage. Here's that green C again. Household products are hazardous if they have any of the following characteristics. First of all, flammable, kind of self-explanatory, capable of burning or causing a fire. Corrosive, that means that they eat away the material, whether it's a living tissue or an inanimate substance like wood or metal or things like that, anything it comes in contact with. Explosive or reactive, these are a group of chemicals that can actually cause explosions. They can release dangerous vapors, and sometimes they do it when exposed to something that we normally don't expect would cause a chemical reaction, like exposure with water or air. Toxic. Toxic is a fancy word for poisonous, and the effect is either immediate, and the term that's used there is acutely toxic, meaning it's going to hurt you really fast, or it can happen over a long period of time, and the term for that is chronic. So those are the 4 that are most commonly found in homes. It used to be that you could also buy materials which were radioactive, and these are ones that release some form of radiation that can result in damage to our chromosomes, usually causing cancer, and some of them even cause harm to unborn children. So those are the 5 things that can get something categorized, but the first 4 are the ones that are now commercially available. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. From this slide, I'm only expecting you to copy the top portion, so you don't have to copy anything below this green line. and you already have the heading. So really what I'm after for you to copy is this little section in here. The more corners it has, the greater the risk. So caution is the lowest one, warning is the next, and danger with the octagon is the most. And it's that stop sign for a reason. It's what you think of as stop. Don't use it if you don't have to. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. So action steps. There's nothing to copy here, just some basic things that you should be following when you're at home. Buy only what you need to get the job done. If you've got a choice between 2 different products, pick the safer one to use. Follow the directions. Now, we used to always have in our parents' homes a poison control center phone number, usually put up by the landline. Nowadays, with cell phones, most people have gotten away from this, but you should have something. 911 is a good starting point, but if you can call poison control, that's even better because they'll help you with the specific poisons. Don't mix together 2 substances unless you know they're safe. Oftentimes people will mix 2 things together with no idea of what they're going to do, or in the hopes that they'll do one thing and they do something else. Keep all the hazardous products in cabinets out of reach of little children. And it's good that you're watching this at home, because most of us, if we walk around our house right now, you're going to find that those hazardous products are stored underneath a kitchen sink or underneath a bathroom sink, which is unfortunately right at the level of little kids. Buy products in child-proof containers so the kids can't open them up and drink them. Keep them in their original containers so that they're safer and everybody knows what they are. It's best if you can avoid giving leftover products to somebody else unless they know what they're doing with them. Find out about your community's hazardous waste collection points. Normally for us here in the county, that's on the Abuna town line, which is County Road 31. So you head east towards Leamington and you turn right, go through the roundabout, and turn right into the land transfer station, and that's where they will take these hazardous materials, and it's free of charge. Recycle products where you can, so use motor oil, antifreeze, any product with mercury, and those can go to the same place, the land transfer station on the Abuna town line. Lastly, don't dump things on the ground or burn them just because you can, because ultimately those products get into the air, get into the groundwater, and eventually make their way back to us. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow in class, we will be looking at WHMIS, the industrial version of household or hazardous household product symbols.